Welcome to the Financial Edge for me. Today I think we're going to talk about whether or not we should pay off debt first or should we invest. You know, and this is probably why most people get this wrong. You know, I'm learning this thing too, so I'm learning more and more about it. So I think that this is probably going to help a lot of people. So one of the most common questions people ask is, should I pay off debt first or should I invest? And so you hear strong opinions on both sides. Some say debt is evil, pay it off immediately. Others say invest early. Time in the market matters most. Well, the truth is, both answers are right. Depending on your situation, today I'm going to talk and break down the simple and real world way so that you can make the smartest decision that's right for your money. So I have to understand the type of debt you have, so that know that not all debt is created equally. Not all debt is created equal. High interest debt, that should be paid. That's one that you should pay this one off first. The high interest ones. That would include credit cards, payday loans, store cards, and personal loans, especially over 7 to 8%. Those should be paid off first because they're high interest debt. You know, just to touch for a couple of seconds, the payday loan thing is always a bad idea. You know, it's something that you shouldn't even consider doing. I mean, I get it. And sometimes you get to a situation where, hey, I gotta have this money. I have to have it. I have to fix my tire. Maybe a bill or something you have to pay. But I mean, by all means, if I beg of you, please, if you can figure out another way other than doing a payday loan, then please do it. Even so much as, again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just telling you my opinion. I would actually, you know, before I do that payday loan, I'll cash out some of my retirement. You know, if I need $1,000 or something like that, cash out $1,000 and, you know, take the hit on that, because these payday loan companies are going to kill you with the interest rate. So that's just my opinion. It's what I would do. I'm not saying you should do everything I do. So what you do is your decision. So pay off those debts first. That'd be credit card, payday loans, store loans, or store cards, as well as personal loans. So if you're paying like 15, 20%, 25% in interest, then on those loans, then there's not going to be any investments that you're going to make that's going to beat that. So paying off that high debt first is a guaranteed return on your money. It just makes more sense. So if you have a credit card that charges 22%, paying it off is the same as earning 22% risk-free, and that's unbeatable. If you have a high interest debt, paying it off first should be your priority. You know, so you know, what about low interest debt? Includes mortgages, student loans, auto loans under 5%. Historically, long-term invested in the stock market averages around 7 to 10% per year. So mathematically, investing can outperform low interest debt. So mathematically, it can outperform that. You know, but maybe that's not the best way of going. You know, maybe the math just isn't everything all the time. So you have to ask yourself, in your own situation, can you handle market ups and downs? You know, how well do you sleep at night knowing that you owe money? You know, is your income stable? So if the debt is causing you stress, paying it down faster can still be the right move, even if investing might earn more long term. So this is up to you. This have to be your choice. You have to figure out what is best for you. So we look at the hybrid strategy, which is best for most people. For most people, the smartest approach isn't either or, but rather it's both. Here's a powerful strategy for that. Pay minimums on all low interest debts. On the low interest debts, you pay the minimums. So aggressively pay off the high interest debts, though. So you got the low interest, you're gonna pay the minimums. On the higher ones, you're gonna pay those off more, faster, more aggressively. It makes more sense. Makes a lot of sense if you just try to tackle those high interest ones first. And then invest at the same time, even with small amounts. So if you're, while you're doing this, you can still invest, just do a small amount. You don't have to throw a lot of money into it. Just, it might be, a small amount of what you will want to invest, but at least you're doing something. You're putting something in that market. Getting that debt down is really paramount. That's the biggest thing. You want to try to get that debt down. So this works because you can reduce financial risk. You can build investing habits earlier by doing this. You don't lose years of compound growth. Compound interest is incredible. With that, that's money on top of money. It's making money on top of money with compound interest. So as an example, you can put $100 towards your debt and $100 into investments each month. So you look at $100 into your debt and $100 into investments. You're lowering the balances and letting time work for you. Makes sense. This avoids the mistake of waiting until everything is perfect to start investing, which almost never happens. Yeah, if you're waiting for the perfect moment to invest in, there is no perfect moment. There's going to always be something. There's going to always be, things that's going to, maybe slow you down, whereas you're not investing as much as you want to. But don't wait for the perfect moment, because that just doesn't exist, and that's going to cost you, that time is costing you money, literally. But you want to do, another thing is emergency fund. Do the emergency funds, do that first. Before aggressively investing, make sure you have, at least $1,000 in starter emergency money. And emergency fund. Now, it's emergency money. It's not something where, it's emergency because I found this dress. It's emergency because I just found these, in men's case, these, J's, these Jordans or whatever, I don't know, or whatever it is, or just watch or something like that or whatever. Now it's emergency. It's not an emergency. Those are your wants. Those are not your needs, But get that $1,000 in your starter account first. Get that established first, and ideally 3 to 6 months of expenses for the long term. If you have 3 to 6 months of your expenses, you're ahead of the game, above most Americans. If you can say, hey, if something happens to me and I can't work or I can't do anything for 3 to 6 months, but I'm cool, I have that in the bank, trust, a lot of Americans would love to be in that position. I can't speak for other parts of the world and stuff like that. Some of them are very frugal about their money. I think the final answer would be, go by a simple rule, which is pay the high interest debt, pay it off first. Low interest debt, invest and pay it down slowly. No emergency fund, build one immediately. If you don't have an emergency fund, then build one immediately. Stable finances do both simultaneously. So stable your finances and do both of those simultaneously. There's no one size fit all, but this is a smart way or a smart a manner of going about this to start off. So as we know, money isn't about being perfect, but it is about the progress. The best plan is to have one that you can stick to consistently. And that works for like a lot of things. If you just stay with it consistently, you'll get some type of results out of it. So that's it. Like and subscribe, comment. If you have any suggestions, add those suggestions, in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you got to say. We'll talk about that. Again, this channel is about not just me teaching, because I don't know all this stuff. I don't. I'm learning too. So I would like to hear some of you guys' suggestions and some of you guys, solutions to some of the problems or things that you've been seeing. you know, when it comes to money, you know. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel, Financial Edge for me. Thanks again.